Hi, welcome to Free Spirit and welcome to a sneak peek of the latest Free Spirit deck that was created. Literally just finished it today. It's at the printers, but I was going back and forth in the comments, and like all the other decks that I created, wanted to give a sneak peek for those on the channel. As soon as it comes back, I'll start using it in the readings, just like you see me use all the other decks. And just like all the other decks, when it comes in, I'll throw it on the Make Playing Cards site, you know, where you can get it if you want it yourself. But you're going to recognize this heart. This is called the Divine Feeding You, the Divine Feeding You. And what I found so amazing for those on the channel, see this heart here is literally this heart here that's in every reading. All of these are natural photographs, you know, with the spirit messages right on the cards. And but the Divine Feeding You. And whenever I do a reading with this here, I always feel the divine is feeding that energy into the reading. And here it is on the deck. And it is the Divine Feeding You deck. So quite literally, the Divine Feeding You, and that's always comes up in the readings. And this is to feel and know the Divine Feeding You, love, support, backing while you're using these cards and all throughout your life. So there are 44 cards in here, one instruction card, which is just this, like how to shuffle the deck and why the purpose of the deck is the divine feeding. And you're going to find in your life the divine is feeding you. Absolutely. And so this is a deck to reflect that. And probably I already know how I'm going to use it in my readings. And you'll see me the minute it comes back how I'm going to use it. What the divine feeding us. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, let me go. So I'm going to show you a sneak peek of the cards and 44 cards. So here we go. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Love. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Hope. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Ideas. Absolutely. Let me go back here. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Wisdom. Almost looks like a jewelry box to me. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Energy. Divine Feeding You, Divine Solutions. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Guidance. This is the layout. It's at the printers, but I just wanted to show those that I was telling I was making this deck. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Strength. The Divine Feeding You, did you hear the honk? Divine Power. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Confidence. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Focus. This has come up so much in readings lately. Divine Confidence, Divine Focus. Let me scroll to the next ones. We have the Divine Feeding You, Divine Abilities. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Creativity. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Strategies. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Steps. Let me go back into this one. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Patience. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Resiliency. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Flexibility. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Help. Oops. Let me go down to the next one. It's the layout. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Messages. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Signs. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Support. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Lightness. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Clarity. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Changes. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Freedom. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Awareness. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Control. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Outlooks. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Actions. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Work. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Mindset. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Heart Set. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Successes. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Partners. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Happiness. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Releases. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Trust. The Divine Feeding You, Divine Comfort. the divine feeding you divine calming, the divine feeding you divine peace, the divine feeding you divine abundance, and the divine feeding you divine healing. So that is it. That's 44 cards, the Divine Feeding You deck. I was so excited about this one. We always talk about the divine feeding us, like the energy, the positivity, everything that's in this deck and more in the physical for what you need, for not just what you're doing, but for the energy to do it with. So yeah, this is 44. I literally just finished. This is the layout. It's at the printers right now. So yeah, no doubt it's going to add a different facet, add like a sprinkle to the readings that I do on the channel. And then also, like I said before, like all the decks, free spirit cards that I create are on that new website link, so that way it can be available worldwide if you like this deck or any other deck I created or you see me use on the channel. So now this is number 12. Yeah, so whenever, I mean, I thought I was done a while ago, but I gather not, and I'm excited to use this deck. I can't wait to get it, and I couldn't wait to show you like a sneak peek. So yeah, to me it looks like a jewelry box, and the divine surely is feeding us positivity, upbeat, positive energy, everything in this deck and more. So I couldn't wait to show you guys. So yeah, this is what's at the printer. You'll see it in readings, and then I'll put it on the, you know, on the website and at the link where you can get all the free spirit cards that you see if you like them and if you want to use them yourself. It's one thing I never push. If you notice, I don't push my decks on people. It's either you gravitate them, they all have it's clear messages. I'm not a designer, so every deck I ever have done, it's all photographs, and then I'm writing down the spirit messages. So my claim to fame, you know, like what I rely on are spirit messages. I'm not a designer, so all my decks will be like that. So, and I am finding that all the decks work together. It's like a fuller conversation. I'm just finding that because I first created one deck. I thought that was it, the natural tarot hybrid. I thought I was done. Then I did 2 more, so I thought it was the trilogy, and then I thought I was done. And then as I was doing the channel, it was like more decks for adding more facets of the conversation or more facets of the reading. And so yeah, so wherever it goes, it goes. But yeah, so this is another free spirit deck, and number 12, and I'm very, very excited. Yeah, Stop at Divine Successes. It does feel like it was just really amazing. I had no inkling of doing another deck, to be honest with you. So the Divine Feeding You deck, and you're gonna find the Divine Feeding You besides this deck, besides these cards in your life. And that is the whole point, because I mean, just as the impotence of doing this deck, if you asked me last week, I would not have been saying I'm doing another deck. The Divine Feeding You, for real, in your life. The Divine Feeding You, love, support, backing all along the way of your life. This oracle deck contains 44 cards, including this one instruction card. Shuffle the cards, read the messages that come out as you shuffle. Keep going until you feel divine feeding you divine messages of support. And this was created, you know how each deck has a purpose. This was to feel and know the divine feeding you love, support, backing while you're using these cards and all throughout your life. No doubt about it. There is love for you and me. The Divine Feeding You deck. Okay, so that was a sneak peek, and you'll see me soon in about a week or 2 when it comes back from the printers using it. And just like all my other decks, there's links all over the place where you can now get the cards. All the cards I've ever created, if you want to use them yourself, they're available. And directly. I don't have the Etsy store anymore. I know that's come up a couple of times. It's just if you want it, you can just go directly to that link and order your copy, and they'll take care of it, because I couldn't do worldwide before. But yeah, and if you don't want to buy the decks, you can just enjoy me using it on the channel and enjoy the readings. But I'm going to be incorporating it in the readings as soon as I get it back. So I'm excited to see where that goes, and I appreciate every kind of love, support, backing we can get, especially during this time. Okay, take care. Just a sneak peek, the Divine Feeding You deck. Take care. Bye-bye.